functional anatomy of the nephron. We have an afferent arteriole and an efferent arteriole. I hate those words, but they are the words that we have to deal with, okay? Afferent goes in, efferent goes out. I always remember it as efferent makes effects, right? In other words, it's an outbound thing, but that may not help either. There you go. That's efferent arrives, afferent arrives, efferent exits. Okay? So inbound and outbound. This makes kind of a weird capillary system because we have an arteriole at the beginning and an arteriole at the end. And this is our first portal system. All right? So a portal system goes like this. All right, so heart, right? Out, capillary bed, 1, 2. How many are there usually? 1. Most of the time it goes heart, capillary bed, back to heart. We have a couple of examples of portal systems where we have 1, 2 capillary beds between heart and back to heart. Okay, this is the first one. We're going to see 3 total in the class. Okay, so for the kidney, this is the afferent, this is the efferent, okay, and then the this is the peritubular caps. Okay, so we have afferent, glomerulus, efferent, peritubular capillaries back to the heart. That matches our picture up here, right? Okay. So little capillaries and 2 valves. These are arterioles, just like our friends in the capillary bed. They constrict and relax very easily. Okay, but because there are 2 of them, our pressure dynamics is a little more complicated because we have an in valve and an out valve instead of just an in valve. Right? So we're going to play around with those as we go through. Blood pressure comes in, okay? Pressure pushes small molecules, water, sodium, potassium, glucose, anything smaller than a protein, pushes it out into the capsule, right? As fluid moves through the nephron, this is all the rest of the nephron, proximal, convoluted, distal, convoluted, tubule, and so on. Materials are reabsorbed into the peritubular capillaries and secreted from the peritubular capillaries to make the final urine. Okay? So these are all the bits as simplified as you can make it. Okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to take this section, kind of expand it, and look at the different sections and what they do. Okay? In terms of reabsorption and secretion. So, portal system number 1. All right, so we got a number of possibilities that can occur here with this system. Okay, glomerulus, that's these, peritubular capillaries. Okay, first, filtration only. Okay, so the substance is freely filtered, but is otherwise unchanged as you go through the rest of the nephron. Nothing else happens. This is a classic example of a foreign molecule, right? Something the body doesn't know how to deal with. It doesn't have any transporters for it. It doesn't have any mechanisms for it. It just is small enough to get filtered, right? So one of the molecules that does this quite well is creatinine, okay? Not creatine, don't make that mistake. Creatinine, okay? Creatinine, for the most part, is filtered but not reabsorbed or secreted. It makes creatinine kind of one of our ways that we have to measure or to evaluate glomerular filtration. Okay, so just an example there. Substance B, here we get filtration and partial reabsorption. So some of what is filtered is reabsorbed, but not all. So an example of this might be sodium on a high sodium day, right? So you had the big popcorn at the movie theater, right? So plenty of sodium that day. Well, you're still going to reabsorb a fair bit of it, okay, because that's obligate reabsorption. But you've got more sodium today than you need, so some of it's going to come out too, right? So you have filtration and reabsorption. All right, now, filtration and complete reabsorption. This, glucose, is a good example of this. Glucose is freely filtered because it's relatively small, but it's completely reabsorbed because it's precious, right? So, classic one is urine, or is glucose. And then here we have filtration with added secretion. So an example here might be potassium on a high potassium day, right? Where potassium is freely filtered, but then it's also secreted as well. Another thing this could be is some medications will follow this path too, as you'll see in Farm in the spring. So four possibilities from the three processes, okay? And different molecules, different kinds of molecules follow different patterns. Okay, so, yes, sir.
Where would water be in that? Would that be B?
Where would water be? Water would be a B, yes, because water is freely secreted and always at least partially reabsorbed. You would never, if you had water that was like this, you'd be dead in a few hours, right? But you have at least, water is really almost like this one, but B is how it would fall. Yeah.